Hello, Cousin Johnny here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Thank you, that garlic stuff. If you like garlic, you're going to love it. Put it on just about anything. That garlic stuff. Tuesday, Alvarado Farmers Market, or go to thatgarlicstuff.com. Thank you. Thank you, I Heart You Candles and Gifts. 222 17th Street, Pacific Grove. Beautiful hand poured candles made with love. Go see Sherry at 222 17th Street in Pacific Grove. I Heart You Candles and Gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Max Fit Meals, 520 Fremont Street. Grab and go healthy meals. They're delish. On your way from home from work, go grab some, heat them up, and fantastic. Thank you, Suds Cyber Laundry, 709 Lighthouse, Pacific Grove. Great modern machines, big screen TV, coffee, and a great friendly staff. Thank you, Suds. Thank you, the Whiskey Club, 425 Alvarado Street. Over 600 whiskeys to choose from. Go on in, relax, enjoy a nice whiskey. They also have a bottle shop. It's great. Great place to relax and enjoy. Tell them a cousin sent you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, storyteller, author, and all-around good guy, Tony Albano. Tony has written 3 books, the latest being Cherish, about a New York teenager and a nun find love. Thank you, Tony. And if you want to order the book or find out more about Tony, go to Tony, Tony, Albano, Albano, storyteller.com. Check it out. Thank you. Thank you, sponsors, for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Hello. Welcome to the show. Cousin Johnny here, bringing you another show. I'm really excited about this show today. I got a great guest. And before further ado, I'd like to bring her on. And she's an artist. She's a singer. And she's a musician. So please welcome Janis Ceresi. Janis, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Johnny?
Great. I'm happy that you're on the show, and
thanks for having me.
And, we've got the same. I mean, we're friends, and we've got the same friends, and we hang out, we talk. But when I met you, then we talked a little bit, and then I've met you other times. But every time I talk to you, there's something that you bring. Like, I didn't know you did this, and I didn't know you did that.
I know. There's so many things to tell. I mean, what avenue do you want to go down? Right?
You hand me your phone, and you got all this beautiful graphic arts. It's like, really? You did that? So
that's why I wanted you to see the portfolio. I saw the portfolio earlier, so it's like a massive stuff. It's kind of surprising.
I said, I want to get her on the show, So anyway, how's it going? So you're good?
It's going great. Okay. I'm in Carmel Valley here, and I just flew in last night from the East Coast. I saw my mom. I was visiting my mom in Plymouth, Mass.
Perfect. So where did you grow up, and how did you end up in this beautiful paradise of Monterey?
Oh, it is a paradise. I love it here. I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, and little town down here in New York City, real close to the tri-state area, and did 12 years of Catholic school. I have 3 sisters, 4 girls in my Italian Catholic family.
Yeah, beautiful. You had the skirt on, the plaid skirt.
Oh, yeah, donning the plaid.
All right.
Yeah, so we had 12 years of Catholic school. It was great. We had traditional background bringing up with the 4 girls, make your bed before you go to school and do good with your schooling and everything. But I was always really artistic, and I love to draw and make things. I was always making things. So I knew I would kind of be some kind of artistic field. It was my dream to be an artist, my dream to be a musician too, but I never thought I could do that. So I stuck with the art. And when I was 17, I lucked out. I was a fast typist, a super fast typist. They wanted me to go be an office secretary, like a super secretary or something, because I didn't want to go to college. So I instead took a lot of art classes, and I was fascinated with letters, and I was drawing letters, all different fonts, and they were really cool. So my first job when I was 17, I lucked out and found a trainee typesetting job, which I didn't even know what typesetting was. I was 17 years old, it's 1981. And I was typed like 80 words a minute. So they hired me and they trained me to do photo typesetting. I was typesetting books, scholarly text manuals. And my first book when I was 17, I actually typeset the whole thing from the author's manuscripts. We get them in a box and we sit there and typeset all day long and do the coding and the fonts and everything. No display whatsoever, just LED readout. This was pre-computer. These are machines we were working on. And I typeset a 552-page book called The Encyclopedia of the Spanish Civil War. It's about this thick, but I didn't realize at the time how cool it was to like achieve such a thing. You know, I typeset maybe a dozen books while I was there. But right after I got that job, this is the heart-wrenching story. The second day on the job, my father passed away. He dropped out of a heart attack. This was May. I was graduating high school in May. It was like 2 weeks before this. And luckily I sat down and told him the night before what a cool job I had started. And I said, there's guys there that do drawings with magic markers and knives. And that's what I'm going to do, Dad. I said, I'm going to be a graphic artist. And the second day on the job, I came home to see him at the gas station. He owned a gas station. So I stopped in to see him. He had gone with a heart attack and they had taken him. And that was the day my life changed radically, just like that, 17. So I didn't go to work the next day, but I went the next day and the next day and the next day. My employers were like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I got a job. You know, that to me was like my salvation. I'm going to just work, right? I wanted to get out and start working. So luckily, I got them to send me to Parsons School of Design in the night classes. I was 17 and I went for 3 years. Yeah, I was like so spun out by what occurred. I was like just scrambling to find a way to be in survivor mode. And I found out they paid tuition assistance for work-related training. So I wanted to be a graphic artist, and I said, I want to go to art school. So they paid for 3 years for me to go in New York City to Parsons. So that's where I got my training, and I really got a lot of in-depth learning from these typographers, really great typographers, Ed Bengat and Herb Luballin and all these great typographers. So you can see in my art and in my posters, I love type. I do lots of stuff with the big fonts and decorative stuff like old poster art. So 17 through early 20s, I was working in Stanford, getting my career together, full steam ahead in the graphic design world. And, you know, I just always loved music. I've always been a harmony singer since I was a kid. That's what I hear in music. I hear harmonies and I sing harmonies. Yes. And it's really hard for me to sing a lead, actually. I had to learn and practice how to sing a lead because I hear a harmony all the time. But so I moved to LA because I up and went to Los Angeles to work in the music industry. I couldn't be a musician, but I wanted to be doing the art for album covers.
Perfect. Yeah.
And you know, my friend's like, why are you going to California? And I said, because I want to design album covers. Like, well, you never did that before. And I'm like, so I'm going to see how I can. So yeah, I lucked out and landed, again, lucky. I mean, maybe I had a little angel on my shoulder. You know, maybe Dad was helping me along here. Now it's all coming. Kind of. Yeah. So I got a job at a little place called Art Hotel in West Hollywood with a friend who I knew from high school. He moved out to LA. And they did work for Barking Pumpkin Records, which was Frank Zappa's album label. And they did work for A&M Records. I did some work for Janet Jackson. I did collateral posters and stuff for Rhythm Nation album. But I was the new kid on the block, and they had this album design coming up for Frank, and another album. And we had to deal with his wife, Gail. Gail was very much a New Yorker. And me being the new kid from the East Coast, they said, let Janis have her, you know, go deal with Gail. So that was how I ended up working on the Frank Zappa album cover. I just befriended Gail, gave her everything she wanted. We spoke the same language. It was real fast paced, and she was a real
Perfect.
stickler
Yeah.
for things. So I got my cut my teeth on the Frank Zappa album cover when I was 26.
Wow.
So
Great.
it's crazy. It's a typography. It's a typographic design too. It's just type on a cover, and it was you can't do that on stage anymore. Volume 3 by Frank Zappa. So that was like 87, 88. And I came back from LA to see about a relationship, a long distance thing that started when I was driving across the country. Anyway, I went back to Connecticut to see about that. And it was the coldest winter of my life, just leaving LA, just going back to Connecticut to see about this relationship. And that didn't work out. And I was so depressed. I'm like back in this cold 1990, it was turning 1990, New Year's.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy was playing in our local bar called Apple's Cafe that never had music. And I called my friend Karen. I'm like, let's go see this guy play music. And his name's Parker Coleman.
Okay.
He plays all these really cool songs. He listed all his artists that he performed. And he had a picture of himself. And we're like, Apples, they never had music. Let's go check it out. So I think my words were, well, if the music sucks, he's at least cute. And he was both not sucky and he was cute. But we tried to go on a date, and that's when we realized when our first date happened that our fate would be a musical one. We ended up getting his guitar and singing, and I knew all the music. We knew all the same songs together that we loved. It was all stuff that was really happening on the radio at that era, like right around the 90s. And so we did a lot of that kind of music, and would get on stage every night, and we just had this sense about us. We knew each other. We knew the music, and he would start playing 2-3 notes, and I would just like name that tune. I would just go join in and start playing and singing, and that's how we did it. We kind of winged it every night. I didn't know at 26. It was my first musical experience performing.
That's the first time you performed was with him then. And you always knew you had a pretty good voice, or you thought, yeah, I'm going to give it.
Yeah, well, singing, always singing. I loved it. I do have to back up because when I was in my 20s in Stanford, one of my first and most influential musical people was my friend Matthew Peak. Matthew predates Parker by a few years. We were roommates in this really cool house in West Norwalk, Connecticut, and it was an old colonial house. There were 3 roommates, and Matt came to us. Matthew, you know him because he's the artist that did the Nightmare on Elm Street movie posters, all the illustrations, the airbrush art. I met him right around the time he was doing the second Nightmare on Elm Street. And he was waiting to get paid from the movie company and needed a place to live. So I had an extra room in my house, and he came and moved in he gave me a Rickenbacker bass as 2 months rent to pay rent for 2 months. It was a white, beautiful blonde with the white, mother of pearl inlay and everything. And he taught me how to play. And he got me to open my mouth and sing because Matthew came with a lot of cool toys, like a 12-track Akai recording system, 1-inch tape. He had one of those in his own recording studio where he had his art studio. And that all moved into my house when I was like 23 and 24. So we would stay up all night singing and recording our voices, just breathing and oohing and awing and learning how to sing and do harmonies and make up songs. I mean, it was so heady. It was so like the biggest high. It was so much fun. So we'd ride the motorcycle at night and go dining in the little diners, having coffee, and we'd stay up and play music. And I'd go to work the next morning after staying up all night. It was like the year of no sleep.
Yeah. And then you got tired of the cold and came back to California, or?
Yeah, well, I ended up moving to California, got the experience working with the music company, and then I came back to Connecticut. I kind of crisscrossed. I spent a year in LA, came back to see about their relationship, met Parker at night in February, and like the next day, when we found out we could sing together, we got his guitar, we started singing. He was so funny. He's going, it's like dolphins. Harmonies are like dolphins, and he's like being really cool because the first date and everything. I'm like, you don't have to tell me about harmonies, baby. So we said, tomorrow you're going to come out and sing on stage with me. And so he did. He brought a stool up, and I sat there petrified with a microphone, and I sang harmonies, and I sang backups, and I sang everything. And that's how it started. So we played together for like that whole summer, and we were supposed to move. There's a whole story about we're going to move to California again from Connecticut. He got lost in Lexington. I moved there for a while. We did a stint in Lexington, Kentucky, 6 nights a week at this bar called JDI, the Jefferson Davis Inn, historic place. I lived in the apartment Jefferson Davis lived in upstairs from the bar. But anyway, that got me to California, not Parker. He kind of detoured and went off on his own throughout our lifetimes. We've been going like this, in our lifetimes. So I landed back in California, and in '92, I got my first job at an ad agency in Union Square, and I was a freelance production artist, and they hired me. And I spent 5 years there and made some really great friends who are still my friends today. And we basically took over the agency. No, we were the production artists. We did all the creative execution for the creative designers and the art directors that would conceptualize the things. And we would execute for all the advertising across the country, the print, magazine, billboard, outdoor, everything.
Beautiful,
so our clients were Sprint, our clients were Kia. We launched Kia in the United States. We did that. Gorgo, the commercial was a giant creature, like kind of like Godzilla, but it was called Gorgo for copyright reasons. And that was the first Kia. What's scarier to Japan than a well-made car for under $7,000?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so that was the tagline. But so I really, throughout my advertising career, I stuck with the art because I knew in my heart that was where I was going to make my money, and I loved it. And I was good at it, and I love teaching people. So I mentored studios, and I taught a lot of people. I mean, I managed 5 different studios in San Francisco, meaning like Goldberg, Moser, O'Neill, Hill Holiday, Hal Riney and Partners, Publicis. Yes, that's off the top of my head. Lots of people come through my doors. Lots of artists.
I'm going to show a little bit of your beautiful art right now.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, this is the recent stuff I've been doing. Yeah. It's a whole new era, a whole new direction I'm doing with this. This is AI, not generated. I'm using it to implement different pieces of the artwork, and I'm compositing it in Photoshop and Illustrator. So I use several different programs with that. So the guitars are photography. I took actual photographs of the guitars. Yeah, and I conjure up the backgrounds.
Yeah, that's really great. Nice. Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. I started learning that when I was at Zillow, my last job, which ended last October. I was creative resource manager there, and I was tasked with the job to find out what AI can do and report on it, give a presentation in San Francisco. So I got bit by the bug, and it was really cool. So I've been playing with that ever since. But it's a whole new angle, a whole new tool we can use to do our cool design work with. And
here you are, a poster of our local musician, Dan.
Yeah, Dan. Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah, that was doing a whole run of a couple that looked like that style. I was pioneering that look.
Now your good friend Parker Coleman, after all these years, you guys got back together again, 30 years later? And
34 years. Yeah, we've done this over the years. Maybe the last time we did this was 12 years prior, and then probably like 18 years ago. When we're in a point in our lives where we can come together really easily and get a gig and play. Our last one was really wonderful. It was at Esalen, and I just had to drag him out here to do that. I mean, I got the gig at Esalen. Things were changing with my duo, and I was like, Parker, come on, let's do this. To this day, my first musical experience, still the most like magical for me. Sure, hopefully it is for him too. But it's just that it's so spontaneous, that we know we have that experience. 3 years back in the day, we were together for 3 solid years, touring all over the East Coast and in LA, Lexington, Charleston.
to play at Essalon was like that's
Esalen was great because we played for 4 hours. And I was like, oh my God, I have him to myself for 4 whole hours. And we get to sing and play all this stuff. Yeah, there's the poster. Yeah.
nice, beautiful work.
Thank you. Just the whole idea with that stuff, it's not supposed to look like us. That's not me. It's not him. It's people that resemble us. We're resembling us. So I don't like to do that
I want to
exact.
give you a little nostalgic here.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's great. That was 17. That was like
Tell us,
months before my dad died.
tell us that story.
Yeah, but this time in my life was so poignant. It's so rich, and it just cannot be. There's just not enough words to describe what a wonderful, rich time it was for me. 17, and then that massive rude awakening. But he helped me. He taught me all about cars. We had a gas station. He let me paint on his cars. He let me airbrush. And
Now this is a 1980 Firebird.
no, that's a 1967
Okay.
convertible. It was in 1980 that I took that picture.
Oh, okay, got it. Wow, that's unbelievable. Great.
Yeah, we restored that together. I bought it for $350. It was a junker.
Is that still around that car?
No, I wish.
Yeah.
No, I actually sold it several years after that and got a Camaro right off the lot in 82. So, but I ended up in Monterey because my whole life when I got back from California ended up being, well, it wasn't California, LA. I moved back to Connecticut, came back here. This time it was Northern California, and my friend Matthew was living in San Rafael up in Marin, the artist guy that I lived with in Connecticut. So that was the whole thing. I'm moving west. I'm going to stay with Matt. I'm going to find a job, and my first job was the one at the ad agency on Maiden Lane in San Francisco. It was 77 Maiden Lane. It was Goldberg, Moser, O'Neill. And we launched Kia. We launched Dell computers. I cut my finger on the Kia pitch. I still have stitches to show, like a little scar.
Battle Star. Yeah.
Yeah, so being up there, I got married and owned a little farm in Point Reyes for about 10 years and quit the big job and decided to go freelance for a while and just work for myself. A lot of stuff happened, and make a long story short, I needed to move quickly after I was with a guy for like 9 years, and he was a really sweet, wonderful man. We lost him in 2017. So that was one of the things that made me move out of Marin. I had opportunity to move down here and a brand new start with a little cottage in Seaside. So my friend had, and so that's how I ended up down here. Wow, and then great. COVID hit, all that went on with COVID. I had job turnover because of the COVID thing. And during COVID, just like a lot of other people, I said through my whole art career, I'll get to it someday. All through my career, I'm like, I'll get to it someday. Music. And
now, did you? You said you owned a farm, or you worked on a farm?
Yeah, I owned a little 2-acre farm in Point Reyes Station on Highway 1. The number was 11,000 State Route 1. Isn't that great? 11,000 ones and zeros. I love it. And I bought that one.
Liar's poker hand right there.
Yeah, 98 came around. I found the place in 97. It was red tagged, uninhabitable by County of Marin. It was an abandoned art studio. There you go. It was an art studio of George Sumner. He's the guy that does the whale paintings, underwater echo paintings, George Sumner. Yeah. So it was his art gallery. And he got busted for doing work without permits, and people were living in it, and it was not a residential building. So it was red tagged uninhabitable. And I picked it up for a song and a dance in 1997. A little bit of money saved in my 401k, like a little bit, tiny. Yeah. Like $10,000. Back then, you could do that in 97 and find a crumbling down thing. So I had to gut the whole place. It was only 700 square feet, but it had 2 acres of property covered with blackberry and poison oak. And we rototilled the hell out of that 2 acres. I drove a tractor. We rototilled. We brought amendments in, and I grew pumpkins. I became known as the pumpkin lady of Point Reyes.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Because I lived right at the crossroads. The Green Bridge went to town, Highway 1, and Sir Francis Drake is here. My house was right there at the crossroads. In fact, if you didn't hit the stop sign, you ended up my driveway in my backyard, and that happened more than once.
Is that farm still there? Or?
Yes. Yeah, it's still there. I had llamas. I had 2 llamas and a miniature pony, and I grew pumpkins, and I drove to the city every day. I commuted an hour and 15 minutes every day to the city to do my job. And I came home at night and would turn pumpkins so they would grow nice and round. And we have a big party every year. You can look this up on YouTube. There's a documentary video called Point Reyes Halloween. Point Reyes Halloween.
Wow.
And this lady documented the whole party for several years. So we had a party and we carve them all up. Party got bigger by word of mouth every year. And there was like 200 people come. And I'm not kidding you. No, I'm sorry, 100 people come, 200 pumpkins on the house. We lit them for 2 weeks straight every year, right before Halloween. So we had our newspapers come out. We had, traffic all day long on, Halloween. It was cool. And it was a big event. So people looked forward to it. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking for my keychain. I have a sterling silver Tiffany's pumpkin on my key ring just to remember the time.
That is really amazing.
So that was cool. Yeah. So I sold that in 2005 when I was going through divorce, and I was feeling like I had the house all by myself for a year or two, and I was married to the house. It was a beautiful place. It was ironically the most beautiful place, and I was in such heartache, going through divorce, doing all this work with nobody to do it with. And I'm like, is this it? I'm going to be, I used to call it the tundra because 2 acres in the winter, whoosh, you'd be blowing all around. It was like the tundra. So, let go of the house in 2005, which was a good time to let go of a house if you were to do that. And so, fast forward, a lot of other stuff. I mean, there was down years. There was those years where things went crazy and I questioned everything I had done, and how did I get here? And finally dealt with the issue of losing my dad and then losing a husband, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's stuff that makes you who you are. But I lived all that and ended up in Monterey, and fast forward to, COVID, doing music. I was playing with a little trio up in Prunedale, and we had like our little cluster of people that we would only see.
A lot of smaller venues started happening with COVID. I mean, that was some like little cafes that never had music all of a sudden night, and they didn't want the big bands. So all of a sudden one night there'd be a solo act or a duet or something.
Yeah.
And that's how, and now it's still continuing on. There's a lot of small.
Well, I got bit that bug again, that music bug. When I started playing during COVID, it was like, oh my God, it was like drugs. Yeah, better than drugs. Yeah. I just wanted to do it. That's all I wanted to do. And, I finally had permission to not work. I mean, I lost my job, couldn't go out and couldn't work. So I played music and I was like, that's it. When that went off the tracks, I could make a funny joke about that, but I'll leave that for another day. When that one derailed, I put an ad on Craigslist, a really driven ad. I had gigs. I got to fill gigs. I needed somebody who can play in 2 weeks. I want to do this, this, and this. And Chris found me from Monterey County Line. He called me, and I was like, I was open to a band. I had been a harmony singer and a backup singer and a percussionist. I played stand-up drums with Parker. That's what I did with him. And so I was singing a lead suddenly. My first gig was 4 hours. In 3 weeks, I met Chris. In 3 weeks, we had a gig that I had to play. It was 4 hours long. My first gig singing lead the whole night. I learned something like 60 songs in 3 weeks. Yeah. So it was amazing. And then that just rolled for the last couple of years, it just we were so busy every weekend. I sometimes felt like I needed a break from playing music, but I went back to work. I was working full time through all of this. So, after COVID, I worked for Zillow. Prior to Zillow, I was at Mac. I did two contract jobs, 6 months at a time for Apple. And I was working on the packaging. And then I got the job at Zillow managing their creative studio. And that was fun because you're dishing out the work. You're giving out the creative projects to the talent, and it's such a great, I can't believe I actually had a job like that. I mean, I used to be the one, begging for the art projects from the art directors, and now I get to give out the work.
You got quite a list of clients. I was looking them over. Apple.
Yeah, we'll go down that little list.
Toyota, Men's Warehouse.
Yeah, I worked at Men's Warehouse. They had Taylor Brands of Joseph.
Goes on and on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like I was like, we're in the background. I was like hiding in the background for all those big names. We're the stage crew. I used to say we're the stage crew.
You guys made it happen though.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you play with the? So give us your musical. What's going on now? You play with Monterey County Line.
I am not playing with any band proper right now.
Okay.
I'm in transition because I've got a lot of things happening with my work, my business. I'm going to build my graphic design business. It's going to be called Studio J. And
Studio J.
Studio J. I sent you the logo. I did that, the marketing one. Because, my whole career is marketing. It comes out of my fingertips. I'm working with the best marketers and copywriters and advertising artists. Be in the hands for those people, basically, would execute the work. So, you learn a lot by osmosis in 40 years.
Every now and then someone will call you and you'll do a duet with them.
Yeah, well, I really want to put together, here's the word on the street. I have some music that I really want to sing that's obscure stuff that is really hopeful and wonderful and inspiring and rocking and cool. And I think if we pull this stuff out and get a band behind it, or even a really tight duo, I would love to find a partner that wants to put in the time and energy to work on 2 vocal sounds and a guitar and percussion. Parker's trying to move out here, but he's got logistics within, his aging father that he's taking care of. So, maybe he'll come for another gig here and there, but I don't know if that's going to happen like as a permanent thing anytime soon. But I need to find my group, my thing, and it's taking shape right now. So let the buzz be known. Buzzing.
Yeah. I saw some YouTube with you and Parker, and that was really, really great music. Kind of.
Yeah, the stuff I have, the black and white stuff from the 90s that were from performances in the 90s, and that stuff stands up. And we recorded on a video recorder. Audio sounds great.
Then I seen you with Dan. What is it, Choker?
Yeah, Dan and I are getting tighter there. Getting in the groove.
I think that sounds good together. You guys together.
I thought so too. We did some cool Beatles, and it's just a couple of times we played together, and it's like after 2 or 3 times, it's starting to.
You might have something there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm open to working with all different types of people, and I don't know who, what, where I'm going to find them. I really want to do like a creative brief and outline my project so I can get people that are on board and get the music song list together and get some of that stuff going. I think it'd be fun and kind of tweak some people's brains and go, wow, is that original? Is that original? We're
looking forward to it.
Nice.
So Monterey is going to be your home right now, or you think?
Yeah, I fell in love with Carmel Valley. I've been in the Valley since I was in Seaside for 3 years, and then I lucked out and found a little cottage up on a hill in Carmel Valley.
Oh wow, that is perfect. I mean, it just
yeah.
Quiet. The village is great.
Yeah, so I had that all to myself. I was living by myself for about 3 years, and then JJ and I met 2 years ago, and I met him in Carmel Valley. We met at the Running Iron, and then we met at the wine house, and then we met at the deli, and like over the course of a year, we kept running into each other.
Yeah, perfect.
So now we live together in a hill half a mile up from that little cottage. I got my wish. I moved up
the hill. Town, and it's just a friendly little neighborhood.
I love it. I love playing down there. All the wineries.
A lot of people play at the. What is it? The Blue Fox? Have you?
Blue Fox, yeah. It was my favorite place in the valley because they have a really great. The gardens are wonderful. It's such a great setting. You can't believe you're sitting, in Monterey.
It's a great setting, and all over Carmel Valley, you got some great wine and.
Yeah,
it's nice.
I love coming home to this little village. I swear I'm in heaven. So pinch me. I don't know.
Carmel Valley Art Association is a really great.
Yes. In fact, Parker knew somebody who is part of the association. When he came to visit me, he had his friend come over and visit and hung out with us and stuff.
My cousin John Aliotti is and his wife Shelley. Yeah, my cousins. They run it. They've done it over 20-something years. Working, serving the local artists.
Yeah, it's a really great scene. I love this town. It reminds me of my town in West Marin, Point Reyes Station, where I used to live. It's a small enclave out off the beaten track in the West Marin, where the coastal influence, and that is like Big Sur and all this wild beauty we have here. I thought I'd never leave Marin, but when I actually came down here, I found all the things I loved in Marin here on steroids.
We're glad you're here in this community because you're a breath of fresh air. So thankful.
I'm really glad to be here. I am so thrilled because even though I've been here like 5 or 6 years, I'm losing track. I only started circulating and getting out.
Really, you've been here that long? It seems like I've
only been around for 2 years. I mean, I really didn't come out. I didn't socialize. I didn't go out. COVID. I was like, in there just hunkering down. The only thing I did was go out on my 1 day a week for music, and then started opening up. Things are switching around, and really, it was 2 summers ago, two summer solstices ago, we just decided to have a little barbecue on the beach for summer solstice. I didn't know any of you guys then, and I put it on my Facebook. And who showed up? I had just met Roberta. I walked up to Roberta because Facebook kept suggesting this person I may know.
Right, Roberta, so
it was on Pacific Grove good old days, and I walked up to her. I said, "Hey, I think we need to know each other."
Yeah.
Facebook says so, right? So anyway, I just met Roberta. She came to my party. She brought Jacqueline. She brought,
perfect.
Mark,
you're in the
all these people.
You're in the groove. You're in the groove now. Yeah.
So that was it. That just opened the door, and it's just starting meeting so many wonderful people. This is a great community.
Well, I want you to keep us posted on Facebook on Buzzing with Cousin if you got anything happening or whatever. Let us.
I will, and I'm open. My what do you call it? My tile is up. I'm open for business. So
yeah, we're gonna post your tile.
Yeah.
And anybody, all the listeners out there, if anybody needs any of that artwork that Janis does, give us your information. You have a.
I'm going to make an announcement when I have the website almost ready.
Okay, when you have the website, we'll post it on Buzzing with Cousin page.
Yeah, because I'm planning on doing the website. We'll have some package deals if you need, like posters, cards, whatever, and then hourly rate also. But
they're really great. So Janis, thank you so much for Buzzing with Cousin today, and you were talking about the good old days, and we got a clip from Good Old Days. That's how we're going to end the show.
Oh, so, great, cool.
Everybody. Don't go away, and here we go.
Thank you.
So Janis, that was terrific, and thank you so much for coming on, and all you listeners out there, thank you for tuning in, and Janis and Cousin Johnny are out. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.